Hey there, it's Scott at the Pedal Guy. How you doing? Well, we're all about pedal demos, pedal knowledge, and pedal sales. I love pedals, and so do you. Well, dust off your flannel, get yourself a nice big old cup of coffee, and let's go to Seattle because I'm going to show you how to get that Nirvana grunge sound using the NuX MG-300. Let's get to it. Alright, we've got our guitar plugged in, we've got our NuX MG-300 ready to rock and roll. Let's talk about the gear you need in addition to this, primarily the guitar. If you really want to get that Nirvana sound, I found the best results come from a guitar with single coil pickups. So if you happen to have one like a Strat or a Mustang or a Tele, then you should be in pretty good shape. If you're using a humbucker, fear not, you can use the QuickTone editor to really carve out that sound. Enough of that, let's get to those tones. Okay, the first song we're going to tackle here is Come As You Are, which is a personal favorite of mine from the Nevermind album. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that you don't necessarily have to subscribe to all of the information you might read about what Kurt used on that particular song, on that particular record, because if you want to go find all that gear, you're welcome to do it, or you can work with the QuickTone editor inside of the MG-300 and you can come pretty darn close. So let's just go through it really quick because I've got a whole sample so you can hear it at length. So right from the get-go, I'm using the chorus ensemble. It gives me a nice, wonderful guttural sound, and I'm in the middle pickup selector. For the verse, that works really well, but when you move to, say, the pre-chorus, that works a little better when you move to the bridge position. Moving along from there, the amp I decided to use here was the Jazz Chorus 120, and it just gave me a wonderful sound that's nice and clean, and as you can also see, I opted to go with the U87 as my microphone. Moving along here, let's get to the equalizer. The equalizer is just there to put a little extra sparkle on top of everything. So here's what it sounds like without. So here it's just a little tiny sparkle on top of all of that. Moving along, noise reduction. You definitely need a noise gate if you're going to do grunge, or maybe you don't want to. Who knows? I mean, grunge pretty much rewrote the rules on rock music in the 90s. So why not rewrite it for yourself, right? Okay, I used a little tape echo on top of all of this. It's just to add a little extra slap back, nothing too extreme. And as far as the reverb goes, I opted to go with the plate. Now, I'm using a lot here, but it's kind of what you have to use for the song to really get close to the actual tone. So with all that said, let's listen to what it actually sounds like all put together. Now, as you can imagine, one of the beautiful things about working with something like the MG-300 is that you don't necessarily have to confine yourself to the same exact pedals and amps for each song. You can switch between that. You just create a new preset, and for the chorus section and the bridge, I absolutely did that. I created a second part that uses mostly a completely different set of effects and amps. Or enhanced in this case. So if we start all the way at the beginning of the signal chain, you can see that I used a booster here just to give me a little extra kick to it. So it's used to go between the B and the D. And it works really, really well. In addition to that, I'm using the chorus ensemble that I used before. But this case, as far as the amp goes, I switched to a Marshall, to a 1987 Marshall, and I kept the U87 as my microphone here, but you could certainly go for something else if you want to. As far as the equalizer goes, I kept that as well, and of course the noise reduction. As you start adding a lot more distortion and overdrive, you definitely want to do that. But notice one thing though, I didn't go over the top on the distortion and all that. It's pretty much overdrive because I want to be able to hear all of the voices of the chords. So it just gives me something else to work with. Moving along, using the same tape echo and the plate reverb as well. So now let's hear what that sounds like. Okay, the next song I'm going to tackle here is In Bloom, which again is another favorite off the record. Now, in this case, I decided to work with mostly a different sound set here because it's more of a rocker, so a lot of scratching of the strings is really required in order to get that sound. So if you want to go... So just keep that in mind. As far as the effects go, I opted to go with the DS1. That was one that was definitely used a lot on those records from what I read. As far as the amplifier went, I am sticking with the Marshall 1987. I found that that really just gives me a really nice rockin' sound. But one thing to note is that I am using, in this case, I'm using the SM57. Which, of course, for grunge music is pretty much the tried and true go-to solution for rock, for the rock sound. So just keep that in mind. I am using an equalizer here, and that just gives us a little extra sparkle on top of everything. So moving along from there, of course, if we're going to use all of that overdrive and distortion, we definitely need to use some noise reduction. Otherwise, you get without and with. You definitely want it. So finally, I decided to, no, I didn't need any delay or anything like that or modulation, so I just decided to stick with the plate reverb. But you can see that I changed the decay and the levels, so it's far less pronounced. So now, let's hear what that sounds like. Alright, that wraps it up for this video tutorial. I hope you got something out of it. Now just remember, you'll be able to download these by using the link in the video description below. If you have any further questions, let me know and I'll answer when I can. We'll see you soon. Well, thanks for stopping by. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any further questions, be sure to visit us at thepedalguide.com. But in the meantime, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, and also be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for weekly videos and tutorials. Thanks for stopping by here at thepedalguide.com, where I love pedals and so do you.